So the Combine's this week, and I thought, hey, what the hell? It's the perfect time for our first mock draft of the year. Yo, everybody, how you doing? King Dingbat here. So today we have come with the hell is that? It's a big ass dog. Dallas still stinks. Yo, everybody, how you doing? King Dingbat here, and I'm excited. I'm excited about this Combine, as I said many times. And I figured, with the Combine coming this week, this is the perfect time for our first mock draft of the year. So this is going to be a pre-Combine mock draft. And what better way to start this whole mock draft to talk to my man LB and find out who he wants on our draft board. Hey, yo, LB, who you got?
Yeah. What's going on, 500, man? So I got this guy, man. I'm telling you, man. I have been obsessed with the linebacking position as of late. I've been digging into it, man. And this guy, Akeem Davis Gaither, Appalachian State, problem. I'm trying to tell you, when I think that I find the best linebacker that could potentially fall to us in this draft, I find another one who's just as good. This guy is probably one of the best linebackers in the draft. I mean, the ability to sack the quarterback, the aggressiveness that he plays with, the strength, the upside. He's gotten better every year in college. I see great things from this guy. I'm telling you, man, Akeem Davis Gaither, Appalachian State, you gotta give this guy a look. I mean, I think he had somewhere around 50-something total tackles. I think 5 sacks last year. I think and an interception. I mean, the guy has coverage ability. The guy can play the linebacker position. And we need a linebacker, in my opinion, just as much as we need a wide receiver. Let me know what you think. I think Diana Ross agrees with me, though. Back to you, Philly.
All right. I like it, LB. Now, make sure you guys click on the link in the description. Go sub up my man, because we're going to talk about this. We're going to discuss it. We're going to debate it, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you sub up LB, and hey, it's going to be a lot of fun. So one of the things I said I was going to do a few weeks ago was I was going to go ahead and do a few mock drafts this year. I was going to do an Eagles pre-scouting combine mock draft, a post-Eagles scouting combine mock draft, and then of course the weekend before the actual draft, I'm going to do a 32-team mock draft. So I thought this would be interesting to see how kind of guys rise and fall and how things can change quickly after the combine, after pro days. And so I wanted to do that this year. So this is going to be an Eagles mock draft, and in it I am going to use the compensatory picks and what we're projected to have. Now, it's hard to slot exactly where some of these are, but I did find places where they were projecting what picks some of those compensatory picks will be. So we should have 10 picks in this draft. We're fully loaded, and it should be very interesting. Now, my philosophy for this offseason is simple. Use free agency to sign defensive players. Use the draft, especially early in the draft, to primarily get offensive players. And that's kind of my philosophy coming into this mock draft. Now, I use 2 sites to help me with this. I use draftnetwork.com, I'll put the link in the description, and draftsite.com. And draftsite.com helped me because they they'll tell you who's like trending where and what kind of rounds guys go, especially for some of those late round guys that I don't know all that well yet. And then the other place, I just put it in the draft simulator, and we went ahead and started drafting. So here's what I got, and this is my mock draft, okay? Now, as this thing started, it became very apparent to me that my fears have been realized. No way these top 3 wide receivers are going to make it to the Eagles. Not even close, okay? It's not going to happen. At 11, Judy went off the board. At 12, CeeDee Lamb went off the board. At 13, the Colts didn't take a wide receiver. At that point, Philly 500 said enough is enough, and I made the phone call. And I called Tampa Bay. I said, hey, yo, Tampa Bay, you better trade with me or I'm going to grab your head and push the door. You know what I mean? It was like that. So I traded with Tampa Bay, and what I traded them was the Eagles' first round pick, which is the 21st, their second, third pick, which is, I want to say it was 103. I forget exactly what it was, but their second, third round pick, their second, fourth round pick. They have 3 fourth round picks in this draft. So I traded the Eagles' first, their second, third, their second, fourth, and then a pick next year. And that was enough to move up to 14 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then I went ahead and selected one Henry Ruggs. Henry Ruggs is a guy I believe the Eagles need. The guy's speed is ridiculous, maybe the fastest player in college. I mean, that's what the Eagles need. That's what they lack so much. And he is an instant threat to any team. And he's going to be an instant impact player for the Eagles. So, with the first round, my first round pick, I have Henry Ruggs out of Alabama. Now, you know, if we get Henry Ruggs, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to lose my mind because I love him. I love him. Now, moving on to the second round, I was really watching the wide receivers and the corners, and a few guys specifically. Let me tell you, in the second round, they started coming off the board quick. I mean, they were coming off the board quick, the wide receivers. But it didn't matter to me because there was a guy that I personally really like. A guy who I think is underrated because he plays on the opposite side of Jeff Okudah. And that is Damon Arnette of Ohio State. And I took him with the second pick in the draft. The Eagles need corners. We know this. He can play man. He can press. He can do a lot of things. He's very, very smart. And he's very, from everything we hear, he gives his all. He's a studier. And I like this kid. I like this kid a lot. And I think he has a real chance to be a starter day one for the Philadelphia Eagles. So with the second pick, I took Damon Arnette. Now, moving on to the third round, you saw a lot of the wide receivers were off the board. And there was still a group of wide receivers that I wanted, but I thought that they may last a while. So I took a chance. And I went ahead and focused on another area of need on offense. The Eagles are going to have to replace Jason Kelce at some point. They're going to have to do it, okay? And the question is who? There were a few centers that I had my eyes on that went off the board in the second round that I didn't think was going to happen. But I went ahead and I drafted Matt Hennessy of Temple. He's very similar in size and stature to Jason Kelce. Same things about high IQ. I think he's a real good center, and he's been rising up the draft boards over the last month, 2 months. I mean, first they said he's going to be a third-day starter. Then they said a third-day pick. Then they say he's going to be a second pick. Now they're saying he could be low third round. So I went ahead, took Matt Hennessy. I'm kind of excited about this pick. I think he has potential to be really good in the NFL. So he will be my eventual replacement, and I love the fact that he could come study for a year or two under Jason Kelce. So Matt Hennessy with my first third-round pick in this draft. So moving on to the fourth round. Now remember, we traded our second, third round pick away to get up and get Ruggs, along with our second, fourth round pick to get up and get him. But that's okay because we still have 2 fourth round picks in this draft. And with the first fourth round pick in this draft, I took Denzel Mims out of Baylor. I like this kid. His agent's claiming he's going to run between a 4.3 and a 4.4 at the combine. And if he lights it up, his stock is going to rise. But the kid is very talented. And I think he's the perfect complement wide receiver to a Henry Ruggs, a smaller, faster guy. He's big. He can go up. He has a huge radius. He can catch the ball. And I think that with a little development, this kid has potential to be a star. So we took Denzel Mims with our fourth pick in this draft. Now with our second, fourth round pick in this draft, I'm going to take Antoine Brooks of Maryland, safety. Okay, we need a safety. This guy is a safety who can play linebacker too. You can move him all around, and I just could picture Schwartz just loving this guy, being able to move him all around and put him in the box, do those kind of things with him. And he's very talented, very smart, and I think for the second, fourth round pick, I think he would be a great addition to the Eagles and that secondary. So we are down to the Eagles' final 3 picks. The final 3 picks, we're going to have 2 fifths and a 6th. Now, I don't know all these guys so well, especially in the back end of the draft as you do early in the draft. But I know what the Eagles' needs are. And that's what I'm really going to focus on. And one of the needs that I think this team has is they got to get better. They got to get more depth in the interior of that offensive line. We just got another center in this draft. So we got Kelce's backup of the future. But I would like to see somebody that could maybe challenge the left guard position. You know, I'd like to see somebody come in and be a stabilizing force. We may lose Big V, so we need to add somebody. So with my first 5th round pick, I'm taking Daishawn Dixon of San Diego State, a big guard. primarily played left guard, big, physical, and I think he would fit in for the Eagles perfectly. So we got a guard with our first fifth-round pick. Now, with the second fifth-round pick that we have, and you may be saying, yo, Dingbat, where are the linebackers? You ain't drafted no linebackers. And that's all right. I didn't. That's right. And it's on purpose. Because my theory on the Eagles and what I believe is they don't value linebackers. They're not going to take a linebacker early. They never do. They did it under Chip Kelly with Jordan Hicks, I think. But that's it. They don't value linebackers enough. And I could see them addressing it in free agency on the cheap. And then at the back end of the draft, grabbing a couple guys. So that's what I'm going to do here with my first fifth-round pick. Now, the guy I'm drafting, he's a linebacker, but he could be considered an edge rusher too. He's kind of a tweener, so it depends where the Eagles would want to play him. But my draft pick is Michael Divinity Jr. of LSU. Now, he left the team for a while at the end of the year. He had personal issues, but I don't know exactly what it was. But I like the kid's talent. I think he's very talented. He says he's more comfortable at the linebacking position. I think he's a little small to play edge rusher, but I think he could possibly play outside linebacker or develop into one in a 4-3 scheme. So I'm going to say Michael Divinity Jr. He could be used as a linebacker. Maybe the Eagles want to put him on the edge as an edge rusher like they did with Avery. I don't know. But that's who I'm taking with my second fifth-round pick. Now, with my final pick in this draft, I'm going to go right back to the same position, linebacker. I'm going to go right back to linebacker and take another guy that I like, that I get to see a lot of because I watch Penn State, and that's Cam Brown. I'm going to take Cam Brown with my final sixth-round pick. I think the kid has a lot of talent. I'm surprised he's going this late. I thought he would go a little higher, but Cam Brown is my final pick, and so we're going to round this whole thing out with two linebackers. So that's my first mock draft of the year. I'm sure it's going to change a lot by the time we get post combine and things like that. And I'll do one probably next month or in the next few weeks or something like that. But the combine is going to be very interesting. Anyways, tell me what you think. Do you like my draft? Do you hate it? Whatever. It's all good. And with that said, take care. Talk to you later. And don't be a dingbat.